Welcome to episode 52 of After the Breach podcast. We're your hosts, Jeff, Sara, and Monika.
Oh, I got upgraded to host status.
You got upgraded to host status. Ahoy, you two.
You're here on like every episode now, so
ahoy.
I know you're trying to bring that back, but...
Anyway, we are going to talk about some March whales and what we...
Have there been whales in March?
For some of us. It's actually been a very interesting month. We've had some very interesting visitors that we're going to talk about. But we've also had some very familiar whales, lots of them, and some new ones, some new calves that we've been seeing out there, brand new this month.
Probably, yeah. I mean, first seen this month. Yeah.
First seen this month.
Sure,
but probably
very very new.
Very new. We can start with the 429As. One of our most commonly seen families throughout the year.
I will say the month did not start positively for me with the T419s because they came back after a bit of an absence, and T429A was not with them. It was her 4 youngest kids traveling together over the course of about a week.
Yeah.
And not unheard of to happen, but not something we have seen before with
that family. And if it's one day, it's not really a big deal. When it starts being multiple, start kind of wondering, and we're all like, well, either she's off and she had a new calf, or she might be missing.
Meaning no longer with us.
Yes, or off cavorting with T18 wherever she is.
I think I need to let T18 go.
I think that's a conversation for
another episode.
Later. Well, to give a little context, T429A is 40 years old this year.
40 years young.
40 years young. Thank you, Monika.
So she had 6 calves over the years.
Yeah, and I kind of thought she might be done. I hoped she wasn't, but thought she might be. But then we got word of a group of whales coming in the Strait of Juan de Fuca. It was a large group. And interestingly, T429A was in there with a brand new calf and with her oldest, T429A1.
That to me is part of the most interesting of the story, is that Noah was there. That I think is really, really cool.
I know. I'm so curious if it was just coincidental that he happened upon them, or if it was planned. And she was like, everybody leave me except you. Come back. I want you here for this.
Yeah, maybe he's, a good enough hunter that he can hunt for them, whereas she's probably having to take care of her 4 youngest kids to some extent.
Well, he's been through this for all his younger siblings,
yeah.
Right? So.
Right. Maybe there's something unique about that, mother first son relationship.
Maybe he's the reason they're all still alive.
Maybe he's the father.
Mike of the Biggs.
Yeah.
So, and who were they with? Were they with the 50s?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was kind of an unusual group, wasn't it?
It was.
And is 50 was
related?
Related.
No, as far as we know, the T50s and the T429As are not related.
Okay. That's my bad.
No, I mean,
consecutive numbers sometimes they are, but sometimes it's coincidental.
Yeah.
So this is not the first time though that we've observed a missing female.
Before you say that, sorry, can I cut in? What's really interesting is frequently T49B is seen off the coast with T50D. Is that right?
Has been seen with with that family out there.
On many occasions over a bigger span of time. So maybe there is some association there that we just aren't aware of.
Yeah, so when they came back in, the first time, the calf, which has been now designated T419A7 by base Cetology. So it was T49A, T49A1, T49A7. They were with the T50s, and they were with the T71Bs, part of them. T71B1
the 2
and
kids.
B2.
Yeah.
That's an interesting group.
They split off from mom before she had her most recent calf. And as far as I know, maybe have been together once or twice that we've seen, but have been traveling separately from her since the newest calf was born.
But to your point, Jeff, recently we have seen this with other moms as well, like T421 last year, spending several days apart from her kids when she had her latest calf.
Yeah, I remember we were out on the water and everyone was like, where's T46B1? Where is she? And everyone was worried. And then she showed up a few days later with a brand new calf. Interesting.
Yeah.
And people have asked me about this, like, is this something they all do? And definitely not. Like,
Right.
I imagine with killer whale moms, just like with human moms, it's probably preference. And do you want to be surrounded by your family, or do you want a little alone time to kind of bond with your new one?
Right.
Or is it the kids that are like, mom is a little bit nuts right now and let's go over here?
I don't know. I totally got just the vibes that the kids were told to leave. That's vibes only. But I don't think Charlie would be like, yeah, I don't want to be here.
It's my mom.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating that Noah was there. And then at some point they all got back together.
They did. And
then Noah left.
he did.
And Jude came in for quick visits. And I think that Noah and Jude haven't been all that far away from them. So I would think that there have been some visits that we haven't observed where they're all together.
Could be. Yeah.
We'll never know.
But I'm really hopeful that this little one is a female. T419s are a pretty legendary family, and of her first 6 kids, only one is a daughter. That's a lot of pressure.
I'm getting girl vibes. I'm going to put it out there.
Off this calf?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. We've all been lucky enough to meet the calf. I'm getting girl vibes as well.
Yeah.
It is a very, very cute calf. And they are such
Have you ever seen an ugly baby killer whale?
Not really, no. But I'm just going to, like, as a teaser for part 3 of our Southern Resident killer whale episode that'll be coming out.
Oh, you've seen ugly baby
next.
Southern residents?
I have not, but the 49As, it shows you what one female can do as far as the number of offspring. And then how far out you can extrapolate that into more offspring, more generations.
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
We're seeing this now with multiple Bigg's families where they're getting huge.
Look at our other new calf from this month, T46B8.
Yes.
A daughter heavy,
Yeah, that's...
family.
Yeah. Incredible example, because T46B is another female who we thought might be done. With 7 documented offspring before this one. And she has her first 3 daughters are all having calves now as well. So that family has become, in my mind, the hardest to keep track of, just because the family tree is updating every 6 months, it feels like.
And it just shows you what population growth and healthy females and a healthy population dynamic where a generation of females wasn't removed. It shows you what is, and certainly a population that's well fed. It shows you what this should look like for Southern residents.
Yeah, it's certainly possible for these female killer whales to be giving birth to 7 or 8 offspring over the course of their reproductive life. And for many of our Southern resident reproductive females, they have like 0 to 3.
Yeah, it's staggering when you compare the two. And we'll talk more about that in part 3. But for now, we have, 49A7 and 46B8.
I'm really excited to see 46B8. I love that family, and we talk about them on the podcast, because T46 was such a legend. But I'm really excited. And kind of the opposite of the 49As, really. She's lost 1 calf, which was under unique circumstances, being the only case of infanticide here documented. But she only has 1 son, and then the rest are all daughters. And so we'll see what this new calf is. I haven't seen it yet, so I can't say, but
it's cute. It's another cute calf.
Rub it in. I kind of hope it's a boy.
Yeah, it's always nice to have a mix for these families. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see too how much they stick around this year. And I'm also really keen to see if the 46Bs might split up a little bit, because now their core matriline, the T46B1s, are the only ones that have split off from the T46Bs. And so that quote unquote core matriline is now 9 whales, which is the largest of any of the families that we have here.
I guess I feel like T46, B2, and B3 have spent a little more time kind of like on the periphery. But so we'll see. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
I feel like B2 does not want to leave.
No, but I feel like B3 might want to leave.
Yeah, I do think B3 is going to be the one who splits off. So we'll see how it plays out.
And the 46B1s have been around on and off. And I think they were with the 46Bs at one point.
And they've been with the 46s as well. We've had kind of that whole extended family tree around, or at least the common spring visitors of that group. So, there have been a lot of big killer whales around. So if anyone follows the Orca Behavior Institute's like monthly sightings updates, our numbers in terms of number of unique groups of bigs was actually down in January and February compared to last year, which was much higher than previous years. So we're still talking about a lot of whales. It was just down compared to last year. And so I was really interested to see how March would play out, and it's rebounded in a big way. It's actually slightly up from last year.
Wow.
Just not for me.
Well, part of the month you were in Arizona, to be fair,
true.
not so many whales there.
Yeah.
But this was just our second March on record where we've confirmed bigs in the Salish Sea every single day of the month.
Wow.
That's incredible. Was there a day, like, what was the high number of whales?
Oh, gosh, I didn't double check if this is the highest, but we had one day with 12 different groups and over 60 different whales.
And all bigs?
Yeah, all bigs.
Wow. That's amazing. Because J-Pod's been in the Salish Sea a bit in this March as well.
Yes, they actually came back in from out west on March 1st, and they were in the Salish Sea at least until March 29th when they went west again. So we had confirmed sightings of them, I think, on 19 days, but we suspect that they were here that whole time. So pretty incredible.
And then back as of this morning, right?
Yeah. I was wondering if they were going to do their spring exodus that they've done recently, but we're recording this on April 1st, and they came back after just a couple days west. So
when have they been doing that spring exodus in the past few years?
Usually it's in the first week or two of April, where they'll head west, and then sometimes they come back in May, sometimes in June, and in the worst case scenarios, not until early July. And they're spending more time on kind of the outer coasts up on the west side of Vancouver Island as well. Like it's typically in the spring, they're seen off Tofino. But they're back, and we'll see if they stick around into the spring.
Very cool. So it will be interesting to see how long J-Pod sticks around and if they do their spring venture off to the outer coast. We've also had we did have a day, it was a really cool grouping. I remember texting with you, Monika, about it. We had 3 independent killer whales all together, T124C, T419A1, and T46C2.
So cool. I love it when stuff like that happens.
Wait, T46C2 is Sam.
Yes.
Yeah.
But female.
Yeah.
Yes. I said, did I say 3 males? I thought
you said
3
independent. Yeah.
Yes.
I thought you said independent males. Okay. Sorry, that was my bad.
But
Sarah doesn't listen to me.
She hasn't been with the T46B1s this spring. And I thought it was pretty awesome that she showed up with those 2 adult males. Somebody else texted me that day and just said, "You go, girl."
It was very
That's
cool
really
to see
cool.
those 3 together. It was not something like a predictable
trio
of whales
what a
to
trip.
see together.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, that was really neat. We've had a lot of grays around, gray whales kind of spread out in the area.
Yeah, so gray whales are coming off or still experiencing a pretty dramatic population decline. That's thought to have a lot to do with kind of the changing conditions in the Arctic. So some of it is positive in that we have kind of more gray whales joining the sounders in Puget Sound, finding an alternative feeding ground there. And there's been some new individuals showing up and kind of potentially learning how to feed down there, which is cool. But also a lot of individuals just sort of fanning out and exploring the shoreline in different places, just kind of hoping to stumble across a new feeding opportunity. So sort of mixed, like cool to have more of the sounders here and maybe recruiting more into that group, but also like some of the whales that have been wandering through the San Juans, maybe not the most positive sign because we don't really have that kind of muddy shallow water right here in the San Juans that would be helpful to them this time of year.
No, but I know there've been a few up off of Vancouver where they do have some of that, and maybe they'll find their way up there. And
Boundary Bay and Birch Bay, they've had a few, but it could be interesting to see in the next few years if we end up with other little subpopulations like the Sounders gray whales that find something good and then keep coming back year after year.
Yeah, because we had a couple that spent like most of the summer, I feel like, off of like the coal terminal, Vancouver, off the flats. There's like a couple miles of like sand flats up there where you can't really even get the boat in.
We saw two of them up there on one of our all-day trips last.
Yeah, but they were there
summer.
a lot.
Yeah, they were there. I think they were there most of the summer.
So fingers crossed that they are finding stuff. But yeah, not a great sign that they're having to fan out and not finding their feeding grounds up in the Arctic.
Yeah, we had a trip in March. It was a pretty amazing day. You were in Arizona, unfortunately, I know, where the trip started with 2 gray whales, and then we had probably the most interesting group of killer whales of March for sure that we'll talk about in a minute.
I'm just going to see myself out.
And I promise you will see them. And then we had a fin whale. There's been a fin whale around.
Yeah, this one is so interesting, right? So it started like last September, I think, seen at least through November. And then now has been seen again in February and March, kind of multiple places throughout the Salish Sea. Also up sort of off Bellingham, off Anacortes, and then the day you saw it was in Admiralty Inlet.
Yeah, I did hear it was in Bellingham Bay this morning. But yeah, in Admiralty Inlet, it was feeding. It was just doing circles and feeding. And I know one day I heard on the radio somebody had it near Smith Island, and it was lunge feeding.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't personally seen a fin whale until this month on a whale watching tour here since 2016 or 2017. I can't remember which one, but it's been a minute.
But that particular day was a heck of a day in Admiralty Inlet because Bigg's killer whales, fin whale, gray whales, and humpback whale, all within, 10, 15 miles of each other.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. Crazy for any time, but not something you would think you'd see in March. But let's talk about the killer whales.
Yeah, let's talk about them.
That were down there. They did a bit of a spring tour, starting in Vancouver and then Seattle and Tacoma, Olympia. And we're referring to them as the 419s.
Yeah, so when they showed up, first couple days of March in Vancouver Harbor.
In Vancouver Harbor. There were a few sort of poor quality photos that surfaced, and I remember showing one to Sara and saying, do you have any idea? And your first response
was, I know a whale with notches like that from Bremer.
Yeah, so nobody came to mind. That was a local match. And
that alone right there, like that's something that doesn't happen often.
Yeah, I was still saying, it's probably it was a distant photo. Like, let's, see who it is. Like, I certainly was not thinking at that point that this was like brand new killer whales. But thanks to some of the folks that run the Howe Sound cetacean sightings page, they were able to get out and get higher quality photos. And that's when all of a sudden it became apparent, okay, there's no match in our West Coast Transient ID guide for these guys.
And then to put that into some context, when I say it, that doesn't happen often. Like there are times where we're like, we're not sure who this is, and it just ends up being, these whales are new to us, but it's this group, and they haven't been seen in the Salish Sea for a long time, whatever it is. But like, there's a match.
Right. Sometimes it's from the California population or from the outer coastal portion of the West Coast Transient population, but usually somebody turns up a match. But in this case, no one could find them in any existing ID guides. And thanks to some sleuthing by community scientists, they found a match from a happy whale report from Anchorage, Alaska in March of 2025, where photos were shared on that platform that were the same trio of whales, but no matches anywhere else.
So Anchorage, Vancouver, Seattle.
What were they doing in the year between Anchorage and Vancouver?
Yeah, clearly, you might think they like cities, but clearly they spend a lot of time somewhere where there are no people whatsoever, having not been documented at all. So Bay Cetology maintains the official alphanumeric designations for any big killer whales that are seen in British Columbia and kind of by association in Washington state as well. And so because these are new whales of unknown mother, basically, that we're seeing in these waters, they have given them the designation T419 for the presumed adult female / mom, and then T420 for her teenage-looking male associate, and T421 for the juvenile in the group.
And I think when they were seen in Seattle after Vancouver, it was not only was that a surprise, because I don't think they were seen anywhere in between.
No, they had been seen 3 or 4 days up in Vancouver, and then there was 3 days with no sightings, and we all kind of thought, oh, like that's it. They've disappeared and we'll never know anything more. And then all of a sudden, Elliott Bay, like not just Puget Sound, but like
in
downtown
Seattle. Duwamish.
Seattle.
It was like in the Duwamish waterway, like crazy.
And then I think there was this like almost this panic of like, okay, well, how much longer are they going to be around? Like, I really want to see them.
I was definitely in that panic because I went down to Puget Sound trying everything I could to meet up with them. And it was during our only winter weather of the season. We ended up with snowstorms and hail and sleet and fog and all of the things until I eventually was able to see them in Admiralty Inlet the same day that you did, Jeff.
Well, and I think it was the day before or 2 days before you had texted me and you're like, hey, if you don't have a trip, I can get enough people to go if you're willing to go down to Puget Sound. And I'm like, have you looked at the weather? Like, we have a gale forecast.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. So really keen, obviously, just to see these guys, but also to try and piece together a little more of where they might come from over time. So thanks to the Orca Sound hydrophone network in Puget Sound, we've gotten a couple of acoustic recordings that we believe are from these whales. Not the greatest, but better than nothing. And
they don't seem to sound like whales that we're familiar with.
Fun fact, better than nothing, my trivia team name.
No, they do not sound like our local Bigg's killer whales. And I think my assumption before this, when they turned up, was that, okay, they don't seem to be California whales. They're not West Coast transient killer whales, which is the group we see off of Washington, BC, Oregon. So these must be from Alaska. Like maybe, they were seen once before in Alaska, even though it was kind of in an unusual place for them to have popped up. But the thought was maybe these are Gulf of Alaska Bigg's killer whales. But sharing these recordings to researchers, further north, and I was shocked when they said these acoustically don't match Gulf of Alaska Bigg's. So that blew my mind just as much as the initial sighting. Because it's like, where the heck could these whales have come from?
Well, and the cookie cutter shark scars don't match for being in Alaska.
Well, interestingly, a lot of the Gulf of Alaska Bigg's have cookie cutter shark scars.
Interesting. So where are they getting those?
Yeah, we don't know. We assume that they're going, to more tropical, warmer waters, but more in the open ocean. There's a little bit of tagging that had been done quite a while ago that showed some going further south in the Pacific, and it must be kind of a regular thing for that population, but there's just no one documenting killer whales out there.
I wonder, what do we know of the ones that are the killer whales that are seen every now and then in Hawaii? Do we know anything about those killer whales and where they're coming in from? Could it be from Alaska? Or
Robin
Russia?
Baird would probably be the person to ask about that.
I don't believe there's been any matches between Alaska and Hawaii, but the Alaskan and just when you get that far north in the Pacific, we just don't know a lot about those killer whales. Like there were some, several years of consecutive studies focused on those whales, but we're talking like 20 years ago. No one is, doing surveys out there in the Gulf and especially once you get out to the Aleutian Islands and keeping, comprehensive photo ID catalogs like we have here. So we just don't know a whole lot about that population, but still no matches and not an acoustic match.
So interesting. And then I think, at least for me, and we saw this on the day that we were in Admiralty Inlet when we saw them, the big surprise for me was when they were associating with Bigg's killer whales that we do know really well.
Yeah, the surprises just keep coming with this group. They have now been in the vicinity of quite a few of our different local matrilines. I don't know what you saw kind of before we got on scene, Jeff, but they were sort of following that day. It was the T65As and the T99s, but not really like in and among them.
Right. I had gotten there. I had heard from one of the boats that was there before I got there that they were all mixed in pretty tightly together. But when I got there, they were probably about a half a mile behind the 65As. Were the 99s there? Mm-hmm. But over the course of our encounter with them, they never got up to where they were, but they did get much closer to, like, when we left, I think they were only a few hundred yards behind them, but they were directly trailing in the same exact line as the other group. And when the group ahead did speed up, they would speed up as well. So like they were definitely not just by chance behind them. They were definitely what we would consider in an encounter that they were with those whales. Definitely.
And no signs of like aggression or avoidance or anything like that. Like maybe not welcomed with open arms, but tolerated for sure.
Right. Like, hey, we're going down here. Come on. And when I did get on scene, the group up ahead, the 65As and the 99s, were all very excited. They were very surface active, lots of breaching. It almost seemed like, they were excited to have them there. I know I'm interpreting, but that's what it felt like.
And then the surprise has been, so they were in Puget Sound for a stretch of 5 or 6 days. They left again, and we again thought maybe that was it. And then a few days
I was
later,
thinking, like, we will probably never hear another peep of a sighting of those 3 whales ever again.
And then they turned up in Elliott Bay again.
Yeah.
And have been in Puget Sound.
How many days later? It was a couple weeks, wasn't it, before they came back in?
I don't think it was that long. Maybe a week. And then now they've been down there for a week plus.
Sarah's face is getting sadder and sadder the more we're talking about this.
It's fine.
Fine. Sarah hasn't seen them yet, but I promised her that she will see them.
Don't promise me. Don't make promises you can't keep.
I will. No, I don't. I will go wherever I have to go on this planet or any other.
Wow.
For you to see those whales.
Wow. That's a tall promise.
If they are intergalactic bigs, we will find a way.
There's a podcast episode. So we've continued mulling over this question of where could they have come from, and one theory that I was wondering about early on was
Mars.
No, that's your theory. I was wondering if they could have come through the Northwest Passage with all the melting ice. Like, could they have come over from northeastern Canada or something like that? But really, morphologically, they look very similar to our Bigg's ecotype. The slanted eye patches, the big saddle patches, and then behaviorally, they've been eating harbor seals like we would expect as well. And so my theory was maybe, not quite as out there as Jeff's, but still a little bit out there.
Are there any North Atlantic populations that would match those characteristics you just named?
There are mammal eaters over there. I don't know physically or morphologically what they look like.
I was wondering if maybe they were from like Japan or Korea, that kind of area. What my first thought when they didn't match to the Gulf of Alaska.
Yeah, so there's also mammal-eating killer whales in the Western Aleutians and off Kamchatka in Russia. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the working theory among the research community right now, is that they might be from that group based on clues related to morphology and acoustics without anything definitive at this point. But there's a potential call match to some killer whales from that population. Not the greatest recordings on our end yet, so we're still hoping to get more acoustic samples from them. But even if that's the case, Kamchatka to Seattle is pretty freaking remarkable.
Yeah.
And there's so many fascinating things about this. I think the thing I love the most is that this whole story just shows, for all we've learned and all we know, there's so much that we don't.
Oh, yeah. We're scratching the tip of the iceberg here.
And you're right. It's amazing. 50 years of dedicated studies here. You'd think, okay, any adult killer whale that shows up here, we're going to know, right?
Right.
And for that to happen in this era was just so mind-blowing, so incredible. And a reminder of we don't even really understand the population structure of at least mammal-eating killer whales in the North Pacific.
Yeah, this is really, really cool. I can't wait to see where this goes. I do hope they stick around so that I don't have to take Sarah to outer space to see them. But it's just every step gets more and more interesting, and there are more and more questions.
And the other part that I love about this is the community science aspect of it, that it has been whale watchers, on shore and on the water, seeing these whales for the most part, taking photos, sharing them with the community, and then sort of crowdsourcing all of the information that we've learned thus far, from the match to happy whale to the acoustic recordings and all of it. It's just, we wouldn't have even necessarily known these whales were here 20 years ago. But one of the best things that has come out of, the social media world and all of that is everyone's ability to collaborate and openly share whale sightings. And it's just been so amazing to see literally hundreds of people get so excited about this. It's been picked up in the media locally, but also beyond our local community here. And I said to a colleague, if this had happened in 2006, you could probably count on two hands the number of people that would have been this excited about it. And most people would just not even have known or cared or been aware. But the incredible, whale loving and community here in the Salish Sea, and the level of detail that people are paying, where they take photos in Vancouver Harbor and realize, hey, these don't match our catalogs. It's just spawned this really cool kind of community fascination with these unusual visitors.
Yeah.
So everything you just said makes me wonder if this is something that's not, obviously this doesn't happen often, but maybe it happens a lot more than what we realize, because we haven't had this kind of community participation infrastructure prior to, the last few years. And, maybe this is something that happens every decade or 2 decades, whatever it is, where there is this other population that mixes in with Biggs or into this region or whatever it is, that this isn't a one-off thing. It's just we've never been able to be aware of it before because we haven't had this many people paying attention and sharing information.
Exactly. And we do know that the Biggs killer whale populations in the North Pacific are not firmly defined. We've seen association between some of these different populations. We've seen reports of West Coast transients outside their typical range to the north and to the south, and potentially associating with other whales. And so for me, what this really brings to mind is we have years sometimes where certain groups aren't seen, and we assume, well, they're probably, somewhere on the remote BC coast and just not being found. But maybe they're roaming further than we realize, and it's just somewhere way out in the North Pacific where there are no eyes to report them.
Yeah. And it's similar. Every now and then we get California Biggs that come in here, and
Exactly.
And it doesn't happen often, but it does happen. And they seem to know where they're going when they're in here. And these 3 whales seem to know their way around.
It's interesting because in Vancouver Harbor for at least 2 days, they seem to be pretty stationary. And my first thought was, well, if you're not from here and you're from, the remote North Pacific, Vancouver Harbor could be like a culture shock, right? With the ships and the land on basically 4 sides there, for instance. But then they waltzed right into Puget Sound and are going in, like you said, these extremely narrow waterways, like right in downtown Seattle and downtown Olympia. And they went, south of the Tacoma Narrows Bridge, like not even all the Biggs go south of the Tacoma Narrows Bridge. And it's like, how do you know where to go and what you're doing? And it's just wild.
They're just winging it.
Well, it's pretty impressive, if they're winging it or if they know. Either way, it's an incredible story.
Yeah.
So who have they associated with that we know of for sure? And obviously, nothing's obvious. It's just so far been Biggs, but I wonder what would happen if they came across J-Pod.
Yeah, that's wild to think about as well. Presumably, they are familiar with fish-eating killer whales. We have, those populations all throughout the North Pacific as well. But yeah, I wonder how they would react, wonder how J-Pod would react. But among the Biggs killer whales, I don't know if associate we can say, but at least been in the vicinity of. Certainly, the 65As and the 99s, like we talked about, the T36s, the T46s. So they've kind of met the who's who of common Salish Sea whales already. And you have to wonder, are those whales kind of showing them the ropes or how's that working?
So interesting. It will be fascinating if they are around for the summer and if they stick around and just kind of fall into the same routines and places that we normally see our familiar bigs.
And no disrespect to all our Puget Sound whale watchers, but can't you guys share? Like, if they could just come visit the San Juans for a little while, that would be amazing. That's
I would really love that.
A little closer for Sarah than Mars.
Yeah, I would appreciate a little help on that for sure.
It's going to be a big fuel bill.
It will be, but I promised, so we're going wherever we have to go.
Well, you haven't even gone to Puget Sound yet.
No, Admiralty Inlet was as far as I went. It was tough. So we were on different boats when we saw them, and I think we were both thinking the same thing, and we actually texted a little bit. It was like, what are we going to do about Sarah?
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
Well,
I noticed that you guys didn't text me back when I texted you both about them.
Oh yeah, I wasn't going anywhere near that.
that's called salt in the wound, and we're trying to avoid that while you were not here. But they're still here. I'm hoping we, on the next episode, can give an update that you have seen them as well. They're here. You're here. Let's hope it's just a matter of time.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll keep updating on future episodes about this. And the one I really hope they hook up with and associate with is Indy.
I was going to say, how did I know?
I think that would be so cool.
They might take him to Kamchatka, and that would be the end of our Indy story.
That's true. Well, he'll always come back. There's a lot of trouble here for him to get into. So any other information we want to share about the 419s?
I think we spoke to how much people have been fascinated by these whales. They've spawned a lot of nicknames and almost a kind of folklore status as we imagine what could be happening with this group. So we have a little musical creation that we've prepared for you that's in homage to these whales. And Sarah, I hope you get a chance to sing it with us in their presence in the very near
next
future.
time, yeah.
Yes.
In the meantime, we're going out every day. Come out with us. If you have questions or topics you want covered, reach out to us at afterthebreachpodcast@gmail.com. And we will be back on our next episode with part 3 of our Southern Resident Killer Whale series, 20 Years Endangered. And Sarah looks like she has something to say.
And we have a photo workshop in September.
It's so funny. The past years that we've done this, I've always forgotten about that at the end. Yes, a photo
Saturday,
workshop.
September 26th and Sunday, September 27th. We're going to do 2 all days. So we had an amazing go last year. We saw Northern Residents. Monika, you were there. Let's do it again.
Yeah, all-day trips in September, you're guaranteed to see a lot of stuff. It's going to be different.
Northern Residents,
time,
419s.
Okay.
Can't promise either of that.
You might be going to Mars, but...
But yeah, we have some space left, so shoot us an email if you'd like to join, and I will be in touch. But in the meantime,
stay safe out there. Whoa.
From waters past the chart, lines drawn past rumor, myth, and dream, they rode the swell at break of dawn, 3 shadows in the scene. Their fins like spears, their backs all scored by teeth from things below. They crossed the bar, they slipped ashore, where the kelp beds twist and glow. Heave away for the T419s. Strangers out on the tide we've never seen. Scarred white saddles and a ghost song keen. Sing yo-ho for the T419s. They came from ice or iron coast, no tongue could place their call. Their voices rose a foreign toast that echoed off the squall. They circled tight with a hometown clan, old cousins of the sea. Strange accents in the hunting band, a borrowed family. Hey! Heave away for the T419s. Hey! Hey! Strangers out on the tide we've never seen. Scarred white saddles and a ghost song keen, sing yo-ho for the T419s. They bear the marks of a darker deep, round wounds in pale white hide. Like coins once bitten, secrets keep of jaws from the underside. They do not feast on herring shine, they follow breath and bone. Where harbor seals on haul-outs whine, their fate is flesh and foam. Hey! Heave away for the T419s. Hey! Hey! Strangers out on the tide we've never seen. Scarred white saddles and a ghost song keen, sing yo-ho for the T419s. Now winter talks in cedar smoke of waters far and wide, of western storms and foreign folk that sent them on this ride. They glide with locals flank to flank, yet sing a distant shore. Three riddles in a moving rank that vanish evermore. Hey! Heave away for the T419s. Hey! Hey! Strangers out on the tide we've never seen. Scarred white saddles and a ghost song keen, sing yo-ho for the T419s. Hey! So raise your cup and mark this tale of kin from parts unknown. Three hunters on a braided trail who made our waters home. Hey! Heave away for the T419s. Hey! Till the sea says where